And because of that engagement, I never had to ask referral from my friends or anybody in my connection. I was reached out to by a recruiter. You can get engagement from recruiters who are looking for a job. And again, it's a good platform for you to showcase your skills but have an online presence.
Is there a demand in United States for this? Like, are people gonna get jobs?
I have failed so many interviews before I actually started understanding how to crack.
Wait, 175?
Yes, LinkedIn Learning and LinkedIn has been an amazing platform for me.
I've heard that UX people get O1B. O1 is a talent based visa. Is this true?
The faster you approach people, the more you get engaged on LinkedIn, the more you get visible.
Before you watch this, I want to quickly say that most people underutilize LinkedIn. They don't understand the power of LinkedIn and how to leverage LinkedIn to get jobs. I have built an ultimate course. It's going to teach you everything from optimizing your profile, getting sourced by a recruiter on LinkedIn. There are live examples, and also how to use LinkedIn and leverage LinkedIn to create the job opportunity that didn't even exist. You didn't even know that it existed. Let me give you a quick sneak peek, and I will tell you that more than 350 students have joined this course and they are loving it. And you can see everything from setting your profile, networking, search techniques, job hunting technique, and like live examples where I'm actually reaching out to people and doing cold networking, etc. You'll also get free plugin, premium plugin for H1B and OPT and all of that. So I highly recommend you check out. Link will be in the description. We are here. I'm excited to talk about masterclass in UX for people who wants to pursue career in UX. Before we get started, let's do like quick intro for people who might have not seen our round one. Where are you from? When did you come to United States? What are you doing right now?
Okay, so first of all, you guys should not forget me as well as Yudi at all. The second of all, I am Tina Gada and I'm super excited to again be part of your podcast. I am based out of Dallas. I'm originally from Mumbai, India, and I'm currently working for Vanguard as a senior UX designer. And I'm excited to share all the knowledge that I have about UX designing and how to get a job and anything else in between. If I know something, I would be happy to share with you.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure there's more things gonna come out in between, but I just realized you are a relative of Jethalal Gada.
Apparently, okay. Very funny story. People always say, "Okay, are you any have any relation with him?" But he lives in Videpale, where I live, and I have like my dad had a shop where he purchased everything for his first house. So that's only the closest relation I have with him. Other than that,
Yeah,
not very close to him. But yeah,
I love him. I love him. I still watch Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma, and yeah, I think it's one of the best shows he's done, and love the character. Okay, cool. So you did masters, and then you become UX designer. Vanguard, for people who don't know, Vanguard has lots of money because it is also the company who has retirement funds for all the people who wants to open 401k. Vanguard is one of the options, and so you design like the UX for it. Let's start with like what are some of the career roles people can get into if we think about like an umbrella of like, okay, here is UX designing, here are the different roles.
definitely. So I think very vague. I don't want to give very vague answer, but at the same time, when you think of human computer interaction, there are so many opportunities and so many roles that you can think about pursuing. One of the very common thing that I can say is UX designer and UX UI designer. That is two job openings that you will see available everywhere. But you can be a product designer, you can be an industrial designer. There are so many small roles that you can target, such as you can be only working as a prototyping expert, you can also work as a gamification expert, or you can be a UX consultant. Now the sky is the limit. Again, the way we talk about IT umbrella, like you can do so many things, the same thing, the HCI is a bigger picture of this IT umbrella, and then inside that you have so many different roles, and based on your skill set, based on your passion, you can pursue that. I personally, when I started my journey, I was a UX/UI designer, where it's a unicorn term used when you are doing UX strategy plus UI designing. Right now I'm only focused on the strategy aspect of the designing, where I'm focused on how end-to-end experience would look like, how to communicate with the product partner and do the discovery and the research work, and focus more thorough on the flow aspect of it rather than thinking about the design aspect of it. But also it comes as a part naturally, because I was always a design focus, I love visuals, but it's more focused on the UX strategy part of the design that I do currently.
Okay. For people who might be extremely new, I work with UX designers and researchers all the time. So, because I'm a product manager, and product managers typically have two like hands. One is business analyst who does like a lot of requirement gathering, and one is like UX people, because I'm like, okay, Tina, I here's what the vision is, and then you go and then actually build the prototype and so on and so forth. So I understand how it works, but I when you say UI UX design, what exactly do you guys do?
Okay, yeah, I will break it down for you a bit. So consider a UX designing. We currently in the IT firms, every IT firm, that will be startup, mid firm, or big company. There are three different roles. One is product, another is design, and the third one is engineering.
Hmm.
So now product managers or the product owners, whatever terminology that we use for them, they are primarily responsible for like deciding what feature they want to release, or what are the redesign consideration that they want to do within the product. Now, depending upon what company that you're working for and how good they have understanding of the design, based on that the maturity changes. Okay, so let's talk for the startup firm first. I have worked with a startup company where I was only closely working with a product designer, where they are giving me the features. Okay, this is what we want to work on, and they will give me the high flow. Okay, consider a basic scenario where a login, once you log into an application, there should be a dashboard, and then after dashboard there are a couple of options user does, and they have a certain outcome of it. So I'm getting entire flow. My responsibility to do is making sure I understand the UI principle very well. There are tens of UI principle that I can talk about, and all I will do is work on those flows, make a right design decision from a visual aspect. Okay, this is one type of a role I would be doing.
What you're going to watch is an amazing story, but before you watch that, I just want to quickly say that all of these story, I compile the key insights from these stories and all the podcasts that I do, and I put this in my free exclusive newsletter community. Every week more than 16,000 people receive my newsletter, and they love it. And here are some of the examples. You can see this was a podcast on George Mason universities, and you can see how to network and 10% cold emailing, powerful LinkedIn techniques, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in becoming part of this exclusive newsletter community, absolutely free. Link is in the description, or you can go to udj.com/newsletter. Yeah, and when you say flow, you mean, for example, let's take a very simple example of Gmail. So you see Gmail, you click on login with Google account, you click on that, it opens up your Gmail inbox. Then there's a primary, social, promotion. So you are the one who's figuring out like where everything should go. Uh,
Yeah.
and then if the email is not red, then it should be bold black, and then it should be, if it is red, then it should be gray, etc.
Definitely. So yeah, that's the level of details I would be working on. Whereas I will get the flow completely. Like, okay, I as a user, uh, I want somebody to click on a certain button. The window should open up, and if they click on the new email, they should be getting another prompt where they can write the email. There should be a to or from option. So I get a user flow or user scenario completely from the product manager. So
mm,
this is what happens in the startup culture.
mm,
There are certain startup culture who are more aware about the process, where you might get more responsibility with them. So you are sitting with the product managers and you're deciding what should be the requirement looks like. They will do user studies, they will also do competitive analysis with the UX designer.
mm,
And here your responsibility won't be just a visual designer, but it will be more than that. You are like figuring out the flow together, you are figuring out concepts together and doing some user studies together. As a That would be your role. Now in the mid form, the responsibility and roles differs again. They would be either doing UX and UI together. Some companies you might have UX designer role differently, that is also called as a product designer. And then you will also assign a UI designer who is working closely with you to work on those concepts, creating the designs for you the way you have iterated the flow for them. And
mm,
same goes to high big firms where they have multiple teams. They will be having thousands of designers, and like I worked with Citibank where we had like close to 600 designer for only North American, and they had like different team in Mexico, they had different team for India. So here the process is slightly different, where you have a UX lead who is leading 3 to 4 team members, and they are like more making sure that you're not just focusing on the one flow. Now when you're designing, you are also focusing on how it is colliding with other experiences, how it is colliding with other flows. So where you will involve other product managers, and then you will be doing design thinking together, where maybe my interfaces are not related to your, but it is somewhere colliding with your journey. So
mm,
how can we make sure that we have a seamless experiences where we can adapt your UI libraries, we can adapt your code, we can adapt your design, so that we have more refactoring component, and we are saving on cost, we are saving on effort that we have together.
mm,
So this happens in big form. This also happen in mid forms too, no doubt, but it depends upon how mature they are in terms of a designing, in terms of understanding the UX altogether. One
mm,
important aspect that I want to say is like UX is no different than product manager in some aspect. Like it overlaps so many journeys, okay?
mm,
But it is about, we don't make business decisions.
mm,
Now when we talk about how to do this sourcing, how to manage this product roadmap, there are some companies in which UX does product roadmap, but it is for UX designing, but not for product. It is
mm,
nothing to do with engineering. We would be talking about technical limitations, but we are not concerned about like how many resources we need, what are the business impact. So we don't do those work. Again, this is right now limited, you never know, like in future maybe UX is doing everything, but at this point we are more focused on how user feels comfortable, how user feel
mm,
that they are making decision which is for themselves and not purely based on business.
mm,
Where product thinks everything about how can we increase the revenue, but we think about like we want to increase the revenue, but also making sure that the customer feel that it is benefited to them, and we are working towards helping them rather than thinking only purely on the business aspect.
got
Does
it.
that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Okay. And so, essential in UX, we keep saying UX, it's user experience for people who didn't know what is UX. You should have covered it in the beginning. But so I have two questions now. Uh, I do a lot of YouTube reaches out to me almost every single month, and there are also other companies who reaches out to me that, hey, we'll give you $50 gift card or $100 gift card. Our UX researcher team wants to meet with you. And then I've done many interviews like that because I was just curious because I'm product manager, so I'm curious to see what they're gonna ask me. And so they show me they have a prototype, work like a clickable prototype, mocks, and then I have to click on the feature that, okay, this is the new monetization feature we are coming up. Click through it, and then we'll ask you questions. So they are doing my interview of how I as a creator going to react on the studio YouTube studio side. So what role does this come under? Is this product manager? Is it UX strategy? Is it UX researcher? Is the UX researcher completely different role?
Okay, very good question. And yes, so this is UX research.
Hmm,
In the umbrella of HCI, this is purely usability testing. You can call it
hmm,
A/B testing. You can call it basically it's a testing where what we want to actually figure out is, before we release any feature, or before we say we want to come up with any new designs components, right? So we want to test this through with the live audience, actually the customers or the people or the consumer of this application. And we want to make sure that before it goes live, we are doing some testing to make sure the flow is fine, the concept is good, the new design users is able to do, uh, complete the task from A to B.
Mm.
That's all. Now, so I worked with Citibank earlier, where we have three different roles, and it was very interesting share to make sure that users know, or the actual students know what to expect when they are coming to the user researcher. So, as a user researcher, what your task is, I I would be, as a strategy, I came up with couple of concepts. Now I don't know what is right, what is not right, what is working, what is not working, because it's basically my intuition that I come up with couple of concepts. Now I will do a in design, like, review of this design concept with my internal users, who are actually very much aware about what is happening in and out.
Mm.
But now this is not my audience, this is not my customer. So to get those tested, I will go to a researcher and say that, like, hey, I came up with this couple of concepts, now you tell me what should I do. Now at this point, user researcher's job is to create a user task. Now here they'll come into the picture, they will suggest, like, hey, I see you have couple of concept, based on her intuition what would work. Sometimes they also suggest, like, I think the option works, one works well, because they have prior knowledge of the customers experiences, or they already have done some research. Based on that, they will directly suggest you what to work, what to go with. But if they don't have any prior knowledge, they will suggest, like, okay, I think A/B testing works best for this, or they will suggest, like, one touch testing works best for them. So based on their experiences, they will suggest couple of testing, and then they'll write task for it, like, hey, you have to perform this task. So as a consumer or the actual tester would perform those tasks, and then we will analyze those results. Now, as a researcher's job is to do create those tasks and give an analysis of this report after conducting the testing with n number of users.
Mm.
This job comes under user researcher, and they do research using usabilitytesting.com. So yeah, sometimes we hire a professional who is doing the moderated testing. So people like who is good with speaking, or people who has nothing to, first of all, then they have nothing to do with the company, so it's completely unbiased. Secondly, they will talk to the user, like, hey, we will want to know
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
the thing, and they will get to know the person and get the entire testing done. So
Mm.
this is the moderator's task. People do moderating a lot, but it's not completely part of UX umbrella, but they are aware of it, and they know what to expect and how to
Mm.
work on those testing.
Got it. Okay. And then UX designer, this was my second question. So, who decides that this should be the font, this should be the spacing between the font, color palette, that okay, here the brand color palette is this, which means the app color palette should be this, and the font should be this, the font family should be this, because they are the one who then gives that to the engineers, and then engineers have to like make sure, like okay, there's this import these fonts and all of that, and then code it based on the specification provided by UX or product. So who does that?
Yeah. So UI designer or UX UI designer does this job.
Mm.
Now there is so many layers attached to it. First is, now you think about Google, right? So Google is such a big brand. So you cannot be like, oh, I'm a designer and I think this is the best font for this particular feature. No, this is not how it works. I have to adapt to certain pattern. I have to adapt to the brand guidelines. Okay.
Mhm.
So every company has something called as a design system. Now, the way we talk about brand guidelines, which is like Google has their own brand guideline, which has been created from early ages, maybe 15 years back when Google launched their self. So the whole idea is, one is the brand guideline, which is used for marketing pages, which is used for all the promotions and any other platform they have. The design system is specifically for creating applications, which
Mm.
is again another thing which is part of the UI UX, where all the things with respect to, one second, let me just close my app. sorry. So everything with respect to design system is considered part of like creating an application or creating working on website or anything which we use as a designer, and everything is laid out. So we will have something called as spacing. We will have something called as a layout. We know what font to use. Now, depending upon the designer's instinct, how they want to design the page, we will design and adapt it. But the pattern is already created. All the components are already created for us to like drag and drop. It is based on the designer's vision how they want to form that page. They will like create those pages.
But this seems like a big company. So I work in like I'm mine is startup, right? So uh, in we didn't have any of this. We didn't have fonts, family. We didn't have spacing, color, nothing. Like yeah, our color is purple. Like that's like that's just of what we know. But so the designer we had, like they told us like, okay, here is what, like they presented two three options, and here is like one with this font family, and this and button should be like this, like the press button should be like this, the hover button should be like this, and all of that. So for us, I mean, I don't know, we just call them UX designer, but I don't know what like what is the role of it, but like technical role of it.
Yeah, so the actual technical role of it. So one thing that I want to clear the misconception that UX designer, most of the time I get it like, oh, you change the color of button, right? Like, you know how it should be the hover button. But no, as a UX designer, that's not my role. As a UX designer, my role is different. But coming back to your question, this design system, there are people who are expert in creating the design system where they first read about your brand, they understand about the typography, they understand the meaning behind the color palette. They will create each and every component from atom layer to a pattern to a web pages to a template for your web pages, for your mobile application, and for your other peripheral devices that you might be offering. So they will be creating this pattern for you once for all, and then it will be freeze till the time you're doing rebranding or you're restructuring your or of your devices or application together. Now, as a UX designer, my role is to create flows. And then as a UI designer, my role is to adapt to those pattern, to understand those pattern, and then see
Mm.
like if I am coming up with a new feature, if I'm working on a new feature and I have to design all the entire page together, what I have to do is make sure that I understand those patterns. I break it down because we have something called as an autumn. So I can break those things. I can create my own page according to the requirement and then give it to the developer for designing it. It's
Mm.
not that I will be creating all the components from the scratch, and it is not like oh, one designer. So even if you're working for a startup company, I have done that. I have created when I started working for some company named Auto Capital. They didn't had anything. They just had a color and they had a green instead of, and they like, "Hey, this is what we have as a design system." So I created the whole typeface, like, okay,
Mm.
because of their brand, this is the best typography that would work. This is the color palette that you have to use. And then I left that company. The new designer already had system in
हाँ,
place.
मतलब they are
So
just using that, right,
they
right.
are just using it. It's not like one designer decided like the font should be 24. I cannot have 26 for H1. Just giving an example, like if you're using an H1 as a 24 point, other designer cannot be like, hey, no, I think H1 should be 26. No, there's a system.
H1 is header one
Yeah,
for people who don't know this. Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how the system is in place and
Mm.
that's how it work. And it's more not technical, but somewhere some aspect of it is more like how you fix the system in a certain way where
Okay.
it's
Got it. Okay,
properly.
super clear now. UX researcher, UI designer, UI UX designer, UX strategy, and then obviously there are more product designer and all of that. Let's talk about the career, the demand. Is there a demand in United States for this? Like, are people gonna get jobs? That's like because after watching this, they're like, okay, you guys talked a lot about this. Hey, job milega ki nahi? Like, will they people get job? Is I mean, are people hiring for such things?
Definitely yes, and
Mm.
definitely people who are considering to be in a space where they don't feel super confident about coding. Like I have seen so many people who are like frustrated about coding. So, and they are also not very good with business aspects. So UX is a very pretty good space for them. They can explore this opportunity because here what you're doing is gathering the requirement in some sort, then like functioning it, and then putting your vision into a concrete prototype, or you can call it a design.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a very creative. I listening to you, I feel like maybe I should just go into this because I'm very creative that way. My
Yeah.
wife wouldn't agree with it because I have a very bad color coordination. I just have three colors: white, black,
It
and green.
is more than colors, okay? It's more than colors. So you
It
can
is
go to that.
experience. It's experience, how
Yeah.
you feel. Right.
Yes,
Yeah. Especially
definitely.
if someone wants to like get the feel of it, just go to apple.com and scroll through the website. The experience, the elegance, the luxury you feel. That's the
Yeah.
art of UX strategy, UX UI designer. They have the way you feel when you use that website or scroll through it. You want to buy stuff because they have spent hours and money on this to figure out, like, to create that emotion that you want to buy it. So yes, I didn't mean that it's just the color. I was just saying I'm very bad at color, so maybe I'm not a good at the design, the core layer of it, but I would be good at, like, yeah, I'm creative in general, so I think people who are creative would be a good role as well.
Yes, definitely. And second thing, when you ask this question, like, do we have the jobs in the United States? So yes, definitely, and not just United States for that matter. Every other country who is booming in IT, such as India, UK, Canada, or like United States, they all have the jobs for UX designing. And even those smallish company like startup, they are now starting to realize that the importance of UX is there, and that's one of the reasons. Even though the small company might have one or two designers, mid firm would have 20 to 25 designers, and large company like Vanguard or Google, they have like thousands of designers because they do not want to jeopardize user experience for anything.
Hmm.
And user experience also comes with inclusivity and accessibility. So when I talk about inclusivity and accessibility, like as a developer you would not know what to do with it, because accessibility is all about understanding all the different users who is coming to your website. And some users might be visually impairment, so they might not be able to see your colors, they might not be able to see your font that you're using as a development, and you think it's best. But as a designer, I know there are a couple of components that I have to plug in to make sure that the website is not just usable by the users, one
Hmm.
user, but it is usable by all the types of a user. And
Hmm.
the second element that I spoke about is inclusivity, which is making sure you are including every types of a demographic into your experiences. So maybe this is very small example. Now when we fill out the form for adding your user, like creating a new account, or for anything, for getting passport online, we generally have this field called name. We have surname, last name, or we have like gender. So having preferred name, because there are non-binary users, so they might not be going by the actual name that has been given at the time of a birth certificate, but they might have a different name that they prefer to be called. So adding small form field such as preferred name is something that I would think of as a designer, because I believe in inclusivity, and not that others don't believe it, but it's more like it's part of the education that I get as a HCI.
Hmm.
So adding a preferred name is a big deal for the non-binary people, that demographic, or adding more than one gender, such as male, females, others, or the transgender, or any other, or cisgender, or anything that makes other demographic feel more included in your experiences. So
Hmm.
those things comes into the picture where we might easily neglect them. So that's one of the reason having a designer which gives you this perspective, brings those different audiences into your mind. And when you're thinking about creating new features, or you're thinking about adding new components or design to your application, this having those demographic, having those voices impacts a lot. Because one of the project that I feel Citibank done, and I was part of that experience, with his preferred to name, which got so much popularity among the transgender and non-binary people, because in general credit card do not have credit card only accepts the true name, which is your birth certificate. But by getting this preferred name card, there were so many transgender and non-binary people who are able to get a card with the name that they prefer to be used. So again, this is such a huge impact on those community, plus it gives a positive impact for you, building the trust for the company, you're building loyalty towards your customers. So that's
Hmm.
the impact that we often tend to ignore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so there are jobs. I've also heard this, and I don't know if how true is this, that the demand is more than the supply. Is this true that there is more jobs in UX than the actual people who can fulfill this role? Same with cybersecurity is what I've heard, but I'm not sure is that true. Like there's less people getting into UX versus the jobs available.
So I would say from my experience, when I came in 2018, I only had two Indians in my entire university who was thinking about doing masters in human computer interaction. And this is very common, especially when people are coming to do a master's. It's always computer science and MIS. And people think like, oh, who does UX? Because there is like no job. What would we do? So this is true that I have seen, especially being Indian, I have seen only few Indians being in UX designing or product designing role compared to other demographics that I have seen. Now this industry is booming in a certain way where people are starting to realize, okay, this there's a need, there is jobs available for that. So there are like, you will see so many UX boot camps, you will see so many people just starting to realize it and transitioning to UX after a certain point. But again, this market is very much good,
Mm.
and at the same time very underrated, because like people do not understand the impact of it and value of it all the time. And one common question and one misconception which is there in everyone's mind is like, as if you go to UX, you are just changing the color. Again, this is such a stereotype, and I hear that like, okay, what do you do? And you're like this. So I feel frustrated, but at the same time I feel so sad about others not knowing that what is the impact of a UX designer or product designer in general. So I feel having no lack of a knowledge and generally neglection of knowing other field is something that is very common, and that's one of the reasons people prefer not to come to. People would prefer data scientists even though they don't know anything about it, but they will like not do UX.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. What kind of money people make in UX? Is it same similar to engineers and product or business analyst, or is it slightly lower?
I would say I'm blessed with the money part right now.
Yeah, of
But
course, we're working for Vanguard, but yeah, like what? Like, give us the typical salary range for interns and then also like full time people.
yes, so for intern, I would say you will be making 45 to 50 per hour.
Hmm.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, depends on, again, depends upon the city and depends upon which company you're working for, but this is pretty much good range. I'll go with the full-time job. You can make as a starting salary as a junior designer, or you just call yourself a UX designer, you will be making somewhere close to 125 to 175, and that
Wait,
goes.
175?
Yes, depends upon which company you're working for and which city you are in. Again, let me have this disclaimer for all the things. And if you're working for a senior level role, so you can target like 175 to 250K. And then if you're lead, vice president, director, creative director, so many different roles which is there. Based on that, you keep on increasing the money. But
So money is there. ऐसा नहीं है कि पैसा नहीं है. So money is
ऐसा नहीं होता तो गुज्जू बहन यहाँ नहीं होती.
right. Okay. Uh, so that's good. What about H1B? Like, I think that is another thing. Like, a lot of people feel that does it come under STEM degree?
Yes, it does come under STEM degree.
Okay.
I did OPT for 3 years. H1B, I feel like it depends on the company, because
No, no.
now,
So the question for H1B is like because H1B is only for specialized, like highly specialized skill. So does the UX skill come under that category is what I'm asking.
Yes, it does. You don't have to worry. I am on my H1B right now. I don't think so. That's
Was it
any
like
problem.
they applied, you got it, no RFE, etc.?
There was no RFE. There was no nothing I would say that was flagged on my file. So, and it is similar. I have so many other friends who have a UX designing role and they have applied for H1B. So I have not heard anything, but again, it goes case to case. Those topics are nothing to do with the field itself, I would say.
Okay. I've heard that UX people get O1B because that falls under arts, interestingly. And O1B, for people who don't know, they like it's a very nice visa, very close to E1 visas, and EB1 visas. And so O1 is a talent based visa. Is this true, like people can get O1Bs? Is it O1Bs or is it O1A as well?
Yeah, so people can get O1A as well as O1B
Hmm.
under being part of a UX designer. Yeah, people does that, and it's pretty much simpler for to get O1B because it's considered to be artistic or showcase sort of a role. So it's easier, and sometimes like people go with those route to avoid H1B and all those lottery systems.
Okay. Yeah, and maybe sometime later we should make like a detailed video on this. But okay, now let's talk about how do people get this job. For that, they have to build. I know there's basic things like resume and LinkedIn, but before even we get there, what are the skills required for them to like build their profile to become a UX UI designer?
So yes, first of all, storytelling.
Hmm.
As a UX UI designer, you need to know how to sell your stories. Now, when I say selling your stories, which means that you are working on any project and you like throughout your masters or throughout the project cycle that you have done in your other curriculum or as a part of your projects assignments, you would be making different design decisions. You would be doing couple of UX strategies such as research, competitive analysis, user journey, user scenarios, all those jargons that I'm throwing at you. It's basically a different strategy that you apply to get to a decision where you have a final outcome which is usable and users are happy with that outcome. So when you're doing this experiment, when you're working on different strategy, you need to know how to present it and how to say it in a very good story form where people know that why you have done what you have done and what is the best way to get to this point. So that is one thing every designer should know, how to sell your stories.
Hmm.
The second thing that you need to do is understanding and learning the relevant tools. So Figma is one of the tool that everybody is using, but before Figma, people used to use Sketch application and Adobe XD. But having to know the Figma is very important. You need to know how to use the Figma as well as the FigJam. It's another tool with the Figma that you get, so you need to know very handsy experience with that. Third thing that you need to know is agile methodology and how to communicate with product managers and developers. So this is the main requirement that you need to know. When I talk about agile methodology, which means that you need to know how sprint works, how quarter release works,
Hmm.
how to communicate with product managers, which is like you get the requirement. Once you get the requirement, how would you process with the kickoff meeting? How would you start breaking down each and every requirement into small molecules? Then you will be presenting your concept. Now again, you have to have a team, or even if you're making the decisions on your own, you are collaborating with other partners such
Hmm.
as your researchers. You will have a UI designer, you will maybe have your UX lead. So you will be having the collaboration skills where you will be talking about this requirements and then like going towards creating the concept. Then you have to present this concept to your product partners again.
Got it. So if we were to divide these skills, hard skills and soft skills sounds like communication, leadership, because you have to convince people that here's my thought process, team building, collaboration, team building.
Mhm.
So those are the soft skills. Presentation again comes under communication, but sure, like presentation can be storytelling is another one. So those are all soft skills. Hard
Yes.
skills sounds like the tools that you need, Figma, and what about like all these? So again, Figma is a tool, but for using that tool, you have to understand the design thinking principles and like typography and all of those things. So I would assume those are the hard skills. Tools are just one of the things that you have to learn this tool, like, but it's just way to use one of those hard skills, right?
Yes. So, okay. So, in this hard skills, you can consider understanding of UI design principles,
Mm,
UX strategies, understanding market research, understanding the difference of all the different application and applying those rules into place. So, there are so many things. I can name couple of phases: understanding of typography, color system, design thinking methodologies, heuristic evaluation, competitive analysis. So those are the basic terms that we use most commonly around, and understanding the research aspect of it, it's something which is also a part of the design, because when you need to know when to reach out to the researcher, you need to know when to enable the user testings. So
mm.
those are the things that you make a decision. And when I say you should know Figma, one of the very, like, this is unsaid things between the designers, is like, you don't learn tool, you learn the techniques to be expert at the tool. So when I say Figma, you will all everyone would know that you need to know how to use design components, you need to know how to create visually appealing designs. When I say PicJam, I think people know, like, okay, it's not about the tool that we are talking about, it's about how efficiently you can create those frameworks where you will be able to do design thinking, or you can use SWOT analysis or everything.
Mm.
So I think this is unsaid things, not just between the designers, but in general. Like, so you're just not expertising at the tools, but also the techniques and knowing what you have to do with it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's same as saying project for project managers learn Jira. I mean, like, Jira is the tool, but you have to learn a Scrum methodology to use Jira,
Yeah.
implement what you learned. So okay, got it. And so tools, you listed like Sketch, Adobe. What is the tool? I know a lot of people used Adobe before Figma became very popular.
Yes, Adobe XD.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Right. And then FigJam, which is similar to Miro. Like a lot
Yeah.
of product managers love Miro,
Yeah.
and there's always a fight
We,
between UX people wants FigJam and product people want Miro, and then there are engineers who want Lucid charts
yeah.
because they just
Yeah, for
yeah,
them. Yep.
yeah. So okay, so these are the tools. Any other tools that you use on day to day basis? From what about prototypes? You
Yeah.
also do that in, sorry, yeah, like wireframes.
Yes, so I haven't done wireframes in a while. That is one thing, but we used to use balsamic, but you
Mhm,
can also
mhm.
do wireframings in Figma and FigJam.
Right.
So generally, so right now, one thing that I would say is whatever works commonly across every industry, it is Figma and FigJam. And you, as a UX designer, need to know that you have to be relevant to the current trends and current market.
Mm.
So I would encourage everybody to forget all the other applications, but use Figma and FigJam. I think that's almost every designers are using. But for prototyping, so this is another skill set and another domain. So there are so many applications for it, but most commonly used prototyping tool is Protopio, Proto.io, and then another one is Adobe uh, After Effect. So those are the two application most commonly used for creating the prototyping, and it's easier because you can add more animation if you have anything where you require animation, you want to add special effects or anything,
Mm.
and showcase the what it would be live in the final application.
But
That's what.
you can do that in Figma also, right? Like the live mocks, like you click on it and then it goes to the next screen and all of that.
Yes, so but in Figma there are certain limitations.
Hmm.
These tools are used specifically to add more depth to it. So that's what
Mm.
people
Got it.
use.
Okay. Great. So now we know these are the skills people need to learn. The question really comes down to how do they learn these skills?
Yes. So first of all, people who are doing masters, as a part of master's course they will be getting so many courses that you have to register as a mandatory course, or there are so many courses that you will register as an optional course. So as a part of the program of masters, you will be learning so many things during these courses. Now people who are not doing masters, there are so many YouTube videos available. So if you're exploring a couple of things, there is this guy named Shushrut who does so many tutorials on Figma. There is another guy called okay, I'm forgetting the name. Very bad at it, but I will share the list of links that I have used as a while I was learning certain things and certain tools. So so many resources freely available. And there are so many people who does boot camp. I would never encourage anybody to take boot camp and consider themselves like after 6 months considering themselves the expert in UX UI. There are some exceptional, but boot camps are not something that I would ever promote anybody to go. That because there are so many free resources available. So if you are spending a lot of money, don't go for boot camp. Go for some small courses which gives you a lot of good resources and good learning, because it is all about you practicing and you implementing those things.
Hmm.
So
So thinking of this, it sounds like how if I want to become same. If I take the example for product managers, I would take a case study, like I can actually build a product. So for people to practice these skills or build these skills, one is if they are doing masters, they will learn it in their education, and each of these education is going to have each of these courses will have a project. They'll build a project and they'll learn it.
yes,
There are online free resources available through YouTube. Maybe take some Udemy, Coursera, whatever. Take these courses. Essentially all of them, the path leads to doing some independent projects or the projects that you are passionate about, that you can showcase as your portfolio item. Is that
yes,
accurate?
correct, yes.
And then where, like, would you recommend, how do UX people do portfolio? Is it website or what do they do?
Yes. So now coming to what you said, so you coming like you will be have to practice all those things and have a case study in terms of either a presentation or a deck. Now there are so many freely available website where you can like post your stuff and get attention from other designers or get attention from the recruiters. So the common things that I have used, one is Behance, which is again a
Mhm.
graphic design, UX, UI, web design community where you upload your shorts, you upload your case study, you can upload small designs or big projects, whatever you prefer. Second is Dribble. So Dribble is very limited, especially it will be targeted towards UI design, who wants to get jobs into UI design or visual design sphere, where you add a very quick shorts such as you created a web page which is a single landing page and you just want to showcase your design skills. It should be high in definition or and visually aesthetically pleasing. So those shots are like you just take a photo, consider it a photo, and you're uploading that. Again, very good tool where you get more attention from recruiters, people who are hiring short term, long term, quick and easy for you to showcase your work. The third one is you can upload your project case studies in Wix. Again, it's a free tool for students. You might not get the domain name, but you will be getting a Wix URL where you can upload your case studies and get work with it. There are other paid services now. So there's Squarespace. Again, you write a case study, you have a landing page, you have all the information which you require for you to add. There's WordPress, again, paid services. You can upload everything on Wix, paid version. You can upload everything in forgetting the name, but um, okay, I'm very bad with remembering the names, but there are multiple paid services that you can acquire. Framer.io, again, yeah, easy. It's again a very simple tool where you are just plugging and playing. Also, you can create your designs in Figma and just upload it, and you will create a beautiful landing page for you.
Hmm.
So, this is how you would be able to upload your stuff and get engagement from different designers. Again, you can get engagement from recruiters who are looking for a job, and again, it's a good platform for you to showcase your skills and get a freelancer work or get like short term, long term project, but have an online presence.
Right. And I would think that UX people should, if anybody, then UX people should at least have that, because their job is to showcase the profile and portfolio, versus product managers, business analysts, like even if they don't have data analyst software, it's still okay, versus UX people, because how else
It's
would you show your skills?
Definitely, it is a must. So again, if you're somebody who is looking for a job in the market, as a UX designer, there's no other requirement, but one requirement: you need to have an online presence, and you need to have a really good portfolio for you to be out there. Because if you don't showcase your skills, how you are going to land a job? Because that's a requirement. It's a must thing you need to have, and uh, based on what roles you are targeting, you need to showcase those skills in your portfolio. If
Hmm.
you're like looking for UI designing, showcase more of a UI skills. If you're looking for UX strategy role, showcase more of a UX strategy skills, and so on and so forth.
Right. Okay. Now that we started talking about jobs, someone understood what the UX roles are. They understood, they pick the role, they build the skills, build the portfolio. Let's talk about job hunting. How did you find the job, and like what are the strategies you used or you recommend people to use?
Definitely. So, people who are about to graduate, first thing that they need to do is start writing cold emails. Be available on LinkedIn to make sure that you reach out to recruiters, you reach out to your fellow alumni, you reach out to your friends and like people who you know who can refer you and who is ready to put out words for you. So you need to do that. I think one of the best thing that I have done, I I sometimes feel like ATS is not working. You need to keep on updating your resume 1,000 times to get that keyword right. So do that. But at the same time, the faster you approach people, the more you get engaged on LinkedIn, the more you get visibility. So for me, I don't give advice people to like, "Oh, keep on updating your ATS," because I don't know whether it worked or not. It has never worked for me, I would say. So I believe in the power of LinkedIn community, where I make sure whenever I'm working on any projects with anyone, I will ask them like, "Hey, could you write me a recommendation letter?" And they will write a recommendation on LinkedIn so that it increases my visibility. So, say for example, you wrote a recommendation for me, your connection can see that, and if somebody is looking for a UX designing role, they possibly would get me through you because of the recommendation that you have added to my profile. So one I would recommend highly to have a updated profile on LinkedIn where you have your proper headline appropriate for what you're doing and what you're looking for. You should have a very good professional headshot. You should have a, because since you're a designer, you should have a banner which speaks about the design component. You should add your portfolio link and resume to your feature section. Have updated details about your resume, or like all the job description should be accurate, and try to get as many recommendation as possible from your professor students that you have worked on, because that increases your chance of visibility, and provided it gives you high uh, reach out, you get more reach out from the recruiter. So that has worked fine for me. Second is Indeed. I have used Indeed and LinkedIn as a part of my job hunting process, making sure that all the things wherever I'm sending any resume. I know what resume speaks about, and I have always added the link of my portfolio as a part of my resume as well as separately, because sometimes it gets missed and you need to have those two things properly added to your profile before you start sharing. And whenever you are applying for a job, make sure you do some research about who is hiring, what type of people work there, and try to reach out to them on LinkedIn. That is again another way of you trying to increase your visibility and getting more connection, plus getting more chances of being interviewed. And then the interview process is different and that begins for you.
Right. Okay. So circling back, it sounds like so other than the portfolio, you mentioned have a LinkedIn profile, which obviously people would have, and then resume. So there's three things that you need from time to get, okay, I'm ready to apply. Now
Yes.
when it comes to application, there's one which is cold application. You look at the position, you make your resume, do ATS friendly, like look at the job description, make changes, and you apply for it. The second thing that you mentioned is reaching out to the people and asking for referrals. And has that worked for you?
I am rigid. I have never asked for referral.
Oh.
I feel shy
Hmm.
asking for referral, but I said I was blessed because my LinkedIn profile helped me a lot. And what I did was, whenever I was taking any courses on LinkedIn, I would post about it. I'm doing any project. Once the project is completed, once my case study is ready, I would post about it like, hey, this is the new case study. I would happy to get some feedback. And somebody who wants to read out, it is the new project that I have done. So I will never felt shy about posting those new things that I have done. Even if I'm like winning a hackathon, I have like posted about it. Feels slightly bragging, but it is not, because I want to increase my visibility and I want to make sure that recruiters get that attention.
So did
So
they get attention though? Like
yes.
that's the question. Okay.
So I got that attention, and because of that engagement, I never had to ask referral from my friends or anybody in my connection. I was reached out to by a recruiter.
Hmm.
So both my jobs,
Hmm.
working for Citibank as well as working for Vanguard, I have been reached out by recruiters like, hey, I see your profile is super impressive. And I have those chats also.
You should
uh,
send me a screenshot of it.
Yes. So I have got reached out by them both the times, and I was the one who was reluctant because when I got offer, or when I was interviewing for Citibank, I already had two offers in hand, and
Hmm.
I'm like, you know what? I don't know whether I want to apply or not, and I was like, you know what? Just do it and see how it goes.
Hmm.
And with Vanguard, I'm again not bragging, but I was lucky enough when they reached out to me. I was traveling and I kept them on hold for a month. I should not be doing that anymore, or not
I think it's
encouraging
fine. I
anybody.
don't think it's a bad thing if you like. If I was traveling, I'll probably tell the same thing. Like I'm
Yeah,
traveling and I can't interview right now, but I'll be back. And if that works, then that's okay. Obviously, you were not in that desperate situation. If people are in the desperate situation, they shouldn't do that
yes.
because
And
you
it is
already
not something
had a.
that I would ever encourage anybody, but the whole thing is like I told my recruiter like, hey, I'm traveling and I will need some time. I was interviewing for two different positions for Vanguard, and I got accepted by both the position.
Hmm.
Again, this was just the power of LinkedIn for me. If you see my profile on LinkedIn, everything would be up to date, no matter whether I'm looking for a job or whether I'm not looking for a job. I'll make sure that I keep on engaging others' content. I was doing content creation for quite a few months. And the second thing is never shy away from what people are thinking, right? Because this is your journey. If you lose the job, nobody would care about it.
Hmm.
So take this opportunity for yourself and think this platform as a blessing, because this is a platform for job hunting. So if I'm doing any certification, why not to post about it and see others that, hey,
Hmm.
I'm doing something right, and
Hmm.
get some eyes on it so that you get a better opportunity for yourself.
Yeah. So you focused heavily on personal branding aspect of it. And
Yes.
because of that, like obviously you were out there, so it was much easier for people to recognize you, and recruiters reached out to you. So that is one of the strategy that people should apply. Like, yeah, do personal branding. If you are working on a project, you had a cool conversation with your professor, anything that shows your skills and ability for UX world. You don't have to become a content creator. That is what also I teach, but you just have to talk about what you learned and document your journey. So okay,
Yes.
cold outreach is something you talked about. So now interview prep, because it's one thing to get an interview, second thing is to crack them. So what is the typical process for UX UI designer, and how do you prepare for it?
Yes. So every company works differently. I have failed so many interviews before I actually started understanding how to crack it. So I can really say it's easy, but at the same time, it's all about how you are selling that story and how you are making a right impact to the company, because sometimes it's like sometimes you miss the job description and you're not reading it thoroughly, and your story is different than what they are looking for. So make sure that first you align with the job description very well. Even before I start with how to prep, the interview process goes like this. You will have a first phone screening. Then second, once you clear the phone screening round, the second round would be portfolio presentation. Once you clear the first round of portfolio presentation, you will have a two other rounds depending upon which company you are applying for. So there would be either one or there would be none. The second round of in detail design presentation of your portfolio. Now the third round can be whiteboard challenge, or there would be some company who does not want whiteboard challenge and they quickly hire you. The fifth round would be another challenge where you would be asked detailed question, more thorough interview with product managers, developers, and all the other UX designers will be part of that call. And the last round would be HR, and then they evaluate different profiles and they give you offer letter based on how well you did it. Coming to your question, portfolio presentation, right? So portfolio presentation is the detailed explanation of the case study that you already have on your portfolio on your website. So as we spoke about that, there are three things that you need: LinkedIn profile, resume, and online presence. So online presence is your digital portfolio that you have where you have different UX case study. Basically you have to present that case study to the recruiters who are a hiring manager for how you what type of a design decision that you made, what was the problem about, how did you come to the solution, what were the results and everything. Now the main thing that you generally people mistake is they are scrolling through the website instead of creating the PowerPoint presentation or a better deck representation of the same thing. So whenever you're doing a portfolio presentation, make sure that you are not scrolling up and down through your website. You are having a deck with should be around 11 to 12 pages long, where you start with the problem statement, you show the design process, you talk about different UX strategies that you worked on, what was the final outcome, and then if you have a results where what was the performance of it, how many adoption that it increase or decrease, or what are the any result that you can showcase and show the design decision that you made to give you a good impact, and you talk about the results part of it, and then you end your presentation with a good note where you have an open-ended question where they ask you a question back, or you have they have the opportunity to ask more question about the project or share their insight or how they felt about it. So that is the portfolio presentation. All the other round, again, it depends on the company to company, but basically it's all about detailed analysis of how good or bad you are with the collaboration. They want to understand the behavioral aspect of it, because collaboration is one of the big key asset in all the organization for all the roles. But for UX it is not a one person decision, right? You have to coordinate with the product managers, you have to also understand the technical limitations and everything. So a collaboration skill is very important, and the second is a storytelling skill, that when you are deriving UX strategy, how what you did, how you did, and what was the result. So you're sharing a very good story, which is more important, and that is two things which will sell you through all the interview process, no matter whether it's seven round interview or whether it is three round interview, doesn't matter. Once
Hmm.
you have this skills, you like nobody can beat you, and like nobody can say that we don't want it unless they just do not have money to accommodate you.
Hmm. Okay. Great. So it sounds like there is some form of technical round for engineers. When you say whiteboarding, what does whiteboarding mean?
Yeah, I forgot about it. So whiteboarding is basically they'll give you a live challenge.
Hmm.
They'll say like, hey, this is the feature that we are working on, and you have to start thinking on the spot. Now the way developer has like, okay, one question and they have to solve SQL problem, or like, come up with the code. Similarly, designers has to come up with the designs. Now this design is not high fidelity prototype we are talking about. This design is about discovering the uh, discovering the project based on the question that they have asked. So in the
Can you give
white,
an example? Like give an
yeah.
example. Huh.
So consider the design challenges. You have to create a application, a feature where you're transferring money from account customer A to customer B.
Hmm.
You got this challenge now. You the first thing is like comes to your mind. You will be first focusing on the demographic. Who are we trying to solve this problem for? Are we solving it for the young audience, or are we solving it for the older audience? So this whiteboard challenge is nothing but you're communicating with the stakeholders who is there as a part of your interview.
So you are asking more thought-provoking questions, like clarifying questions, like, okay, what is the demographic over here? Then you're
Yes,
like writing it down. Then again,
writing it
you're
down.
asking more clarifying.
Relevant question. So basically, the whole whiteboarding challenge is nothing but they're testing. Do you know what to do before you start giving the solution upfront? This is again most common problem that we as a UX designer do is like, hey, oh, as soon as I thought of this simple question that okay, you have to transfer money from A to B, first thing that comes in mind, okay, I'm doing this as a part of my day to day like activity. Then I will be starting to think about the solution first rather than asking like, hey, can you tell me who is the demographic? Who are we solving this problem for? Is this a new application or like new feature, or is it already existing feature and I'm redesigning this feature? So asking those relevant question, as that's the task that you do as a part of whiteboard challenge, and I will give you a resource link which would help the audience to solve how to solve those problem. And there are so many websites where they get so many questions, and you can solve those solution before even you start interviewing or applying for the jobs.
What are those resources?
One is the Medium post that I actually follow, and the other one is the website which I follow again as a part of my. Uh,
Hmm.
I used to follow as a part of my interviewing or my
Okay. Yeah, I
practice.
know, like for PMs and project managers, we have something called Exponent. Like they have a really good videos of like these system design questions, or like design a fridge. That's what people ask, or design a parking system,
Yeah,
or we are an Instagram. If you are interviewing for Instagram, and like we want to implement reels, like, how would you do it? And so the same concept, but like now we have to think about user base and ROIs and this architecture and like timeline and every single thing when it comes to product or program management, versus UX is obviously it's more of flow and designing of that. So
yeah.
okay, got it, cool. In terms of preparation for this type of interviews, like what do you do typically? How do you prepare for it? Is it just online resources?
No, I would say it is more for me personally. It's a practice. Okay, I have gone into multiple mentorship sessions,
Hmm.
people who are already working in the product design field and UX design field. So getting the mock interview was one of the very good thing that I felt, because now whenever you are practicing mock interviews, whenever you are doing a live whiteboard challenge, that's when you know where you get stuck. So again, everything comes down to practicing in all the different domains, but specifically for UX, because I have to speak. And
But like, how do you find these mentors? Like what's the?
yeah, so there are multiple resources. One is Coffee Chat. This is one of the very first. Initially, Coffee Chat was the platform where I have found multiple mentors. Nowadays, you can find mentors on ADP list and TopMed. ADP list is free. In TopMed, some people are free, some people are paid. Again, depending upon whom you want to go for, and people are ready to help you. So even if you find somebody on LinkedIn and ask that, hey, I would be interviewing for this, would you be okay to give me some insight? And there are some people who are very willing to help you, depending upon how good or bad you send them the first message. So it is again the skill. Don't go just to ask for a help. Don't ask for, like, random thing. Make sure that you build a really good connection before you slide in your request. So this is the tactic that you need to know before you go and do anything. But a couple of things, this is before even interview starts, or before you apply, or before recruiter starts getting your attention. Make sure that you have all the resources in place. You are actively doing some design challenges. So one of the biggest tool is daily UI challenges, and the another one is UX challenges. So there are two different websites where you
Mm.
can do daily UI problem solving. So that makes you more confident, because I feel, I guess, 65 plus interviews where I got calls, but I was not able to crack interviews,
Mm.
because I thought like I'm doing great. I can, because I'm speaking and I know what I'm speaking. But when I recorded myself, I felt, oh my God, I know what is the problem.
So these daily challenges or daily UI UX challenges, it sounds like almost like lead code, which a lot of software engineers does.
Yes, it is similar, but just for designers. So you need to practice. You need, like, since there are so many people who are not comfortable presenting, they are not comfortable talking. So for them, start recording yourself and do not hesitate to meet people. Go find out the mentors. Go find out UX community. Now there are so many UX community available. All you have to do is download Slack and go to this ADP list or UX Pilot. There are so many communities where you will be able to find people, and they might be helping to just set up a meeting, and you can just talk, you can share your perspective. There
Mm.
are UX books that you can read and increase your knowledge. There are LinkedIn learning courses, which I felt super helpful, and I will share that with you as well. So, this free resources, and I really felt like I understood how to present, what to speak, and how to have a open-ended question, so that like recruiters or hiring managers know what to speak, and rather than making it one-sided.
Mm.
And I boosted my confidence by just randomly going out and speaking with people, because again, this is one of the challenges that I faced. Like, I was not able to communicate my decisions very well, I was not able to present my case study very well. So I had a lot of fear. But when I started going out without thinking too much and just presenting or just sharing my knowledge, I got more confident. So when I was interviewing, I was like, even if I don't get it, I don't care. I did my best. So I
Mm.
had that attitude. But earlier, I was like scared. I was nervous about my interview. I was nervous about what I was speaking. So once you start like opening up a little bit, you will be having no fear of rejection. You will be like, hey, I gave my best. It's okay. I'll try on another company.
Mm.
So that whole perspective will change for you. And I think um, I'm not getting any paid promotion for LinkedIn, but I'm promoting LinkedIn, LinkedIn Learning, and LinkedIn has been an amazing platform for me.
Mm. Mm. And what
Um,
was the tool that you said for the daily challenges?
yeah, Daily UI Challenge is another platform, and Daily UX Challenges. There are two websites where you can find
Okay, it's
different
called
challenges.
daily UI challenges, daily UX challenges.
Yes.
Okay.
So you just register, and they will remind you every day, like, hey, today's challenge is not done, and you will be provoked, like, oh my God, I
Mm.
have to finish this challenge.
Mm.
So very
Great.
interesting tools
Yeah.
for that.
This is amazing. I'm excited. And yeah, if you can send all those
I
resources.
will tell you, I have a transition to UX Notion page where I as a part of my mentorship. I share it with all the
Mm,
users, so I will share that entire with you.
yeah. And then maybe we can, if people want mentorship from you, then we can put your link as well. So
Please come reach out to me. But yeah,
don't reach out or reach out to me.
reach out to me
Oh,
for the mentorship.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. This is great. What is the one last thing would you tell to aspiring UX people?
I think just know what you're doing. User experience is not everyone's cup of tea, but at the same time, it's your daily experiences. Starting from opening the door to using the microwave to do anything that you can see around your surroundings. That's a UX. Personal experience, I feel super proud when I go to a Walmart and they have changed something in their supermarket, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great, this is not great, and then I always have a constant feedback for them. So that happens to you as a UX designer, you will start to criticize, but that is where your passion comes from. So if you're passionate, go for it. Don't worry about the money, you will make a tons of money. Don't worry about changing or transitioning, because everybody does the transition and sky is the limit. From UX you can be a product manager, you can go anywhere you want, you can be expert in your field. So just don't do it for money, or just don't do it because it's easy. It's not. And try to learn, and that's all.
Love it. Okay, awesome. This is great. I learned so much about it. This is truly a masterclass in UX, and hopefully, we can do more of these, and maybe we can do like a private session with the presentation and all of that. But
Definitely.
anyway, this was it. And again, I can't wait to bring you back. Maybe we'll do some another video. But until our next one,
Keep hustling and keep smiling.
nice.